Obduelo says for $10. Hey Arch, if possible, could you explain why us fans of the original Fallout, yeah, here you go, hate what Bethesda has done to the series, especially with the new show? I lack the word space, and many don't understand it. So,
I disagree.
Arch, enlighten us.
Yeah, see, I despise the new Fallout series. It reduced the NCR to a band of raiders. It reduced the Brotherhood of Steel to a bunch of pathetic bullies. It reduced New Vegas. It made Voltec start the war. In my opinion, it took everything that had been created previously, all of the choices that the player made through Fallout 1 and 2 and tactics, etc., and made it all irrelevant. It feels to me like almost a petty vengeance on behalf of Bethesda to ruin everything that came before it.
So you would say that the new Amazon series really isn't all that then? It's also rewriting history.
In large part. Well, no, it's not rewriting it. It's just resetting it to zero. Because the story of Fallout wasn't really necessarily post-apocalyptic as much as it was post-apocalypse. The rebuilding of society, the survival of society after the bombs, like with tribals and the NCR and Brotherhood of Steel and the various factions warring over the remains of America and beginning to build another thing. It was the various ideas, ideologies, and movements of the new world competing for space. Whereas in the Fallout TV show, I feel as if they've taken all of that and reset it back to zero again.
Well, didn't they erase New Vegas?
It's still there, but it appears to be in ruins.
Well, that's really funny because when New Vegas came out, players really, really loved that version of Fallout, but it wasn't done by Bethesda. It was done by Obsidian Entertainment, right? And I think that there was a little resentment there, and people were saying that this is a manifestation of them getting back at New Vegas being more popular by completely destroying them in this series.
So are we going to talk about Fallout?
Well, you guys seem to have seen it, so let's briefly jump into Fallout now, because I know that you only have limited time.
Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, let's hear your brief verdict on Fallout now before we move on with.
On that note, Pilgrim Media says for $2, I binge watched Fallout. I like it. Season 2. Well, what do you guys think?
So let me be the network whore here, because that is the hat I used to wear. And you've got a whole bunch of competing stakeholders in something like this, and you guys agree with that. That's not a discussion. You've got a shit ton of normies that are going to outnumber the people who have played the game, that you're going to have to convince that this is an interesting show. And to a certain degree, any game is not that dissimilar from a novel, that you could take a book. Well, Steven Spielberg said it in the most obscene way. He said, you know how you adapt a novel? You take the novel and you throw it in the trash. So it's not too dissimilar for even a property like Fallout, which has its lore and history. I think what the producers have done fairly well with this is cherry pick aspects of the game. So from a newbie TV watcher, it's going to look very original, unique, filled with characters that they've probably never seen before, with unique ideas. And the way they handled Walton's character and the flashbacks really made it a very interesting experience compared to what the games were like. So they've really turned it into a TV show. Now, I'm sure they had the debates where they went, okay, so what do we take out of this to make this interesting to a generalized audience versus do we piss off the game players? And obviously you as game players, they pissed you off. Me, who's played only New Vegas, it didn't piss me off. But I also understand the lore and how much is left to explore. I didn't like what they did with the Brotherhood of Steel. I thought that was not particularly good, although I didn't mind the notion that they were all pussies and the Sanjo Panza character who was carrying the armaments or the supplies for his master. That was an interesting dynamic where there were two what do you call them? Not slaves. What do they? The guys who carried all that shit with them.
Squires or something.
Squires. Yeah, that's
servants.
It was a
Squires.
parallel to the knight and the squire, right? And so I didn't mind that. That was kind of an interesting twist. So to me, just viewing it as a piece of TV, I thought they did a fairly good job of making it as gross and intriguing as the original games kind of got. I was really surprised how well they kind of imbued it with its feeling. But I understand what your point is. But I think it's I think it's going to be a very successful TV show. Although now that they've gotten rid of the head, I don't know what they're going to do for a plot device in season 2, because it was the head that made it work. The first episode was a bit of a mess. They kind of got the Fallout wink wink nudge nudge kind of humor in the vault, but then they lost it with the steel, whatever, frickin' hell, I can never remember everything.
Brotherhood of Steel.
Brotherhood of Steel. So they lost it completely there. But it was the head. It was the cutting off the head in episode 2 was what really made the series, I thought, work. There you go.
Well, I presume they're just going to follow the dad now, because the man obviously is the monster in our storyline, whilst the lesbian lovers are the heroes.
Well, they killed the mother, who was, well, do we assume that they're lesbian, or they just kind of liked each other?
In the modern day, I assume lesbian.
That would be a shame, because in that world, you kind of need people to procreate. So that would be be many future generations lost right there if the woman proves to be a lesbian. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything.
Mother decides to kidnap child. Father doesn't like mother kidnapping child.
Right.
Goes to retrieve child. Goes a little far in doing so, blowing up Shady Shan's somehow. And then mother's lesbian lover goes and kills even more people, but then she gets to be the good guy at the end. We forget about the fact that she attacked the vault and killed them all.
This sounds awfully progressive.
And
you can skip the progressive part because it just sounds awful. I haven't seen this far yet.
But luckily they left her to the very end. So the stuff in between show 2 and show 7, I thought were really neat.
So this is kind of like Dune Part 2 then. It's really fantastic all the way up until the end, and then it falls completely apart.
I would say the ending could have been better. But
so you just saved me like now 7-8 hours worth of running time.
The middle is very entertaining. It really is as a
well,
TV
it doesn't
show.
help if you don't stick the landing.
No. You know, I'm a slut.
No, I just have expectations of my entertainment. And part of that expectations include stick the landing.
Well, my point is that no one who has not seen or played the game will have ever seen a television show similar to this.
No, that's cool.
That's
true.
True.
Cool and all. But I still wanted to stick the landing, because if it doesn't, I'm going to feel like I wasted my time.
It does-ish, because the protagonist and the ghoul go off together. I think that's the fun part of the show, because they really do work well together. And she's not a Mary Sue. And she's
the
not
ghoul
a
was
girl
the best character. And I didn't mind Lucy. I actually think Lucy did pretty well.
Yeah.
Hated Maximus, and I hated his acting in particular. I felt like he looked like a deep water fish in nearly every shot.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, all right. And then also
Deep
this
water
Patrick
fish. Okay, I
Robinson.
get what you're
I
saying.
haven't seen. I've only seen bits and pieces, and I'm like, this woman, she shouldn't be going off with a ghoul. She should be going off and have babies and save humanity. But yeah, that's just me.
There's a
maybe too-
brilliant scene where because she's raised in the vault and they can't really procreate, so it's a very big deal when they can procreate, right? So she hasn't been raised with a lot of a filter sexually. And so she turns to Maximus and goes, "Hey, wanna fuck?" And he just goes, "No, I think that's dangerous. I think my pee-pee might explode." He full of cuck looks at her and goes like, "No, I wouldn't like to have sex with you. I've been raised wrong by the Brotherhood."
Yeah, that
Thanks for the
Brotherhood. What a
spoiler.
bunch of
So, yeah.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.